question, how would you describe yoga to someone you just met?
That's a great question. A question that I think it has an organic answer. It changes, right? If someone asked me these questions like 15 years ago, when I just got into yoga, I used to live in London, and I used to have a background in theater. I used to work in hospitality, and I used to go to this Bikram yoga studio close to my house to sweat out the booze I had drunk the weekend before, because I used to bartend and DJ. So it's like, and then a girlfriend of mine, Rodrigo, you got to do yoga, it's good for you. So I would answer back then that yoga was a tool to detoxify the body, which I found it to be truly amazing. Back then I was like, you know, the white of my eye was whiter. You know, the tongue was redder. I used to have my carrot juice. Happy days. I was feeling like, you know, I wasn't feeling guilty anymore. Beautiful. But fasting forward time a little bit, you know. I was 33, I was hiking in Brazil. I was born and raised in Brazil, but now I live in Scandinavia, I live in Sweden. And I had a fall accident. I broke my back. I became paralyzed from the chest down. And I got told that I wouldn't be able to walk straight away. And they sent me to a rehabilitation center where they retrained me how to use my bladder, my bowel, the wheelchair, everything. I remember that like a week after I was in this rehabilitation center, I was going through the dark night of the soul. I started having a lot of pain and a lot of muscle spasticity in my legs. And then I asked my physiotherapist, Anna, they say, Anna, my legs, they keep on moving, you know. My spasms is really strong and I've got so much pain. And then Anna, she told me, Rodrigo, I'm going to show you a stretch that you can do in bed that's going to help you. At this time, I was training to put my socks on, you know. I didn't know how to do anything. But Anna told me, Rodrigo, you're going to pull your knee towards your chest, lying down, and then you're going to hold. And then that's going to stretch your hamstring. And then your spasticity will decrease. When she showed me that, I told, hang on a minute, this is Bikram yoga. This is the We Believe post number 13. I used to do that back in my drunken days. And I remember this pose really well because that was the only one on the floor that I need to lie down with my bottle of water, and then I said, yes, I'm going to stay here for a while. She laughed at me, she smiled, and then she said, Rodrigo, I'm not too sure if it's yoga, but that's going to help you. She left the room. I took my computer that was in the bedside, and then I googled yoga for paraplegics or yoga for wheelchair users. And I come in touch with Matthew Sanford, you know, a yoga teacher who also has a spinal cord injury and who also has a T4 spinal cord injury, like mine is T3, his is T4, so like even the same level injury. I got in touch with him straight away because I knew back in the trucking days that yoga was, you know, let's say, beneficial. I told myself, maybe I can incorporate yoga into my rehabilitation process. I got in touch with him. You know, they sent me DVDs, books, and then I started studying with him, and then I incorporated adaptive yoga into my rehabilitation process. Boom. I come back to life really fast. You know, I come back to life so fast that my rehab instructor came to me and said, Rodrigo, like, people kill themselves if they have gone through what you have been through. In Sweden, especially, the high level of suicide it's really on its peak. have you ever thought about becoming a rehab instructor? And I say, no, but I can try, I can give it a go. I started working at this rehabilitation center for folks, newly injured folks. I still work there. And then I start teaching these people adaptive yoga and mindfulness. Without even being certified. Sorry, Yoga Alliance. I'm gonna teach an embodied experience. It helps me, it might help you. You know? But after a while, I thought that there was a gift that was given to me. Right? Because I see my peers, they complain about chronic pain, about neuropathic pain, about spasticity. And they rely on a medical model that for me, they treat a human body like a mechanic treats a car.
Yeah.
Antidepressants, like opioids. They don't know that yoga is for them. Right? Folks with disabilities has no clue that yoga is for them. You know. So I've got this gift from the universe, this life purpose, you know, that I was given, but still so lonely here. It's lonely. There is no many people practicing or teaching yoga in a disabled body out there. You know, I know there's like plenty of yoga teachers here. I ask you, how many yoga studios do you know that serve this population? How many? If you are a yoga teacher yourself, how many disabled students do you have? How many wheelchair users do you see practicing yoga on Instagram? On your 90 seconds reel. There is none. Right? And the funny thing is like, if you take the numbers, it's like 1 in 7 people has a mobility disability. We are 15%. We are 1 billion. Hang on a minute. We are 1 billion, man. Where are we? We're not in the yoga world, sorry. We're not there. So when Tricia invited me to be here, I was like, wow. You know, just for the fact that I will be there with my representativity, that has so much power. Mm-hmm. So if someone asked me today, you know, after 17 years of practicing yoga, like 6 years of teaching it, what is yoga? I would answer you, Hari. Yoga is a tool to get to know yourself, to come in touch with yourself. Some people say it's Purusha, some people say it's Atman. I like to call it love. It's to immerse yourself in love. And from that place, live in the world. I remember after my injury, the only time I was in my body was when I was practicing yoga. When you go through trauma as big as spinal cord injury like this, you tend to dissociate. Like, you know, your body is something that is not welcoming anymore. Your body reminds you the things that you can no longer do. Your body reminds you of pain, of limitations. So yoga is a tool to bring yourself back to your body with compassion, with love. It's like hugging a cactus. Every day you stay in your body for 1 hour. You know, you will start seeing, yes, there is grief here, there is pain, but what else is there? There is love, there is compassion, there is hope. Yoga is not to fix what is broken, but is to help you fall in love with the society called it broken and see yourself as a whole again. And I finish it on time.
Thank you so much for reminding us all that in the realization that we are something more than these bodies is not a rejection of our bodies, but
Yes.
rather that there is this relationship between our consciousness and our body that carries this consciousness has to be honored.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right.